So I was going to say a whole different thing. I will mention that as well, but Avi just put into my head something important to say that I'll say that I learned from Rav Manis a few years ago that changed my life. Um, and it's really the difference between Soveya and Koisiv. He didn't say it like he didn't say this. I linked it to this in it. The two malachas of Shabbos, Soveya, which is coloring, dyeing, and Koisiv, which is writing. And they appear to be quite similar in a lot of ways. But they're not. Koisiv needs to have some element of symbol, of sensible, of logical symbolism, making some kind of logical sense, linguistic sense in a way. Whereas Soveya is just coloring. You just color something. So the difference between them is, I mean, Al Pi Halacha, there's lots of differences between them. But this is what I want to, this is a very important point, is we all know that everything happens for a reason. Yeah. Hashem is in control of every blade of grass and every gust of wind and every atom and neutrino and quark, and Hashem's in control of everything, yeah? So stuff happens, and that means that Hashem did it. We don't say that Hashem let this happen. Hashem did it. There's no other option. Hashem doesn't let things happen like there's some other God who Hashem gives reshus to do it. Hashem does everything. Oise, Yasa, how do you say it? Yasa. He does, did, and will do all things. He does everything, says the Rambam. So now there's a question that we've got because it says the Ramchal says that, and a lot of people, and the Gemara says, that's where the Ramchal got it from, that there's such a thing as shtusim in dreams. How can there be divrei shtus in a dream? If Hashem's mamash sholet over every detail of reality, yeah, how can you have a dream that's shtus? So Rav Manis answered it like this. He told me that there was a guy who had broken his leg. He had been in the army for a couple of years, and he was just getting out. He made tshuva in the army, and he was getting out of the army, looking forward to go to yeshiva and mamash start flying in his Yiddishkeit. And on the way, off the bus from the base or something, he fell over, broke his leg really badly, and he ended up in hospital for nearly 6 months or something like that. And he got in touch with Manis, and he was saying, what am I meant to be learning from this? What's the message? Which is what we're all asking. What's the message? And this blew my head off. Manis said, there's not always a message. And if you can't work out the message, then there isn't a message. Hashem doesn't play games. He's not like this hooky, spooky kind of messing with you, just messing with your head. If Hashem's got something to tell you, he will let you know. And he's not going to play games. He doesn't want you to if he wants you to know something, he'll tell you. Clean. And we know that. We've been given messages from Hashem very clearly over our lifetime where we might have tried to understand it differently, but we were clear of what the message was. Hashem's not trying to be vague. He's not trying to be mystical in that sense. So if the message isn't apparent and clear, then there isn't a message. So then what's going on? And this is the difference between Koisev and Soveya. Koisev is a message. Soveya is a color. Colors don't contain any information. A color is an experience. You look at red, you feel something different to when you look at blue. You look at green, you feel something different than when you look at yellow. There's no message there. It's not information he's giving you. It's a feeling that you have to, it's an experience that you have to try and be oimed. You with me? So he said to this guy who broke his leg, if there's no message, if there's no clear message, and maybe there is a clear message, but if you can't work it out, then maybe there isn't. Yeah, but if there isn't a clear message, then it's a color. It's not a note, it's just a color. Because if Hashem, for example, you have a dream, and now this answers the question of shtus in a dream. How can there be shtus in a dream? Divrei shtus. Isn't Hashem in control of everything? Isn't Hashem ultimately meaningful? Well, of course he is, but maybe he's just trying to give you a feeling of kind of tension to start your day with, that he wants you to overcome and to defeat and to rise above. And he could have given you that same feeling in endless different films. Like you could get Lahavdil, you could get the same feeling from watching, Predator as you could from watching Terminator, as you could from watching Commando. That's where I'm holding in films, back from Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 90s, yeah? Each one of those films were completely different films, but you basically walked away with the same feeling. Some like big muscly guy like killing the bad guy and walking off into the sunset at the end. That's like a color. And that's a lot of the time what we have to process when we're dealing with different issues. Not a message. It's not Oisius. It's a color. And that's very difficult. Now that color can sometimes, it's like when you take your kid to the doctors, he needs to get something done with his teeth, something like that. Yeah. Your 2-year-old, 3-year-old kid. He's got some kind of, let's say, he's got some kind of thing he needs removed from his mouth, whatever. Yeah. You don't have to tell him. You put him in the car and he might not like it, and you take him to the dentist. He won't even understand if you try and explain it to him. But you put him in the car. Yeah, he says, where are you going? Like Avraham said to Yitzhak. He said, don't worry, it'll be all right. I'll Doug, we're going to just work it out, yeah? He drives to the dentist. The kid's terrified. He sees the dentist. He's like, what are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? And you just try and give him some chizuk. And he sits down. He goes through an unpleasant procedure, whatever. And then he comes out and he goes back in the car. You didn't have to be masakin the bayah. You didn't have to give perush on what's going on. Everyone's with me? That's the difference between Soveya and Kosev. And that's how messages, that's how Hashgacha, individual Hashgacha works with us. We have messages and then we have colors. And if the message isn't clear, Hashem is not playing games. If Hashem wants you to know something clearly, he will let you know. He really will. He's not playing games. He will let you know. And if you can't work out a very clear message, then it's a color that you're having to deal with. So now what's going on right now? Okay, no idea. And no one knows what's going on. But this is what I wanted to say before I changed my mind and I said what I just said now, is that there's this big, like Yitzi was just saying, there was this Asifa you said in Los Angeles where everyone's like screaming out to Hashem, yeah, save us, yeah. And I don't know about you, but I know that I have a Chalishas Adas because I'm not there. It's just not real for me to scream out to God. I'm assuming back in the medieval, go back 500 years ago, before there was the telephone and open heart surgery and lightning, understanding what lightning is and all this kind of stuff, yeah. then it was much easier to scream out to God. But nowadays, when someone gets ill, you take them to the hospital and the doctor usually fixes them up pretty good. And you didn't have to break a sweat with tefillahs or with tehillim. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be davening. I'm not saying that at all. Chas v'shalom. I'm trying to give us a chizuk that life's different. We're in 2023, yeah? We're in Tafshin Pei Dalad. And we're living in this reality where mankind has become really, really sophisticated. Really sophisticated. It's not so pasha for us to just scream out and cry, God save us, yeah? So don't feel like, don't have that chalisha sadas when, you know, there could be some more simple people who do that, and there could be maybe some sophisticated people who can do that as well. Maybe it's real, maybe it's not, I don't know. I'm just talking from my space, where I'm coming from, is that I know by me it's not real. I can scream out to God and cry and try and cry and wave my fists and whatever, but it's not a real avoider. And Hashem wants us to be mamash real. That's what that's for sure, that he wants us to be as real as we can. So if it's not real, yeah, opening up to him and crying out to God and, you know, having the pages drenched with your tears, but I'm assuming it probably isn't where you guys are at, just like with me. Then what is the avoider? I was talking to my Rav, and the ikka thing that we have to be working on right now, although we know that we shouldn't be looking at the different avoiders, but I just want to give a big chizuk in everything, is trying to be mischazik with our wives and to try and keep all negativity or all negativity to the minimum, trying to keep the betachlis shalom as much as we can, to go mahadrim and mahadrim to keep our shalom bias levels at the most in the most desirable way we can, to be mavata as much as we can, to be mechaber as much as we can, to be as patient, more patient than we've ever been before, and to be mischazik and shalom bias. That's number one. And then obviously with the children as well, that should be mashpia down into our relationship with our kids, and to just double down. Don't waste time. Don't waste any time. That doesn't mean you're sitting there in the base medrash pounding away in a sefer. That means when you're at work, be working. Don't be schmying around on YouTube and just pishing away time going through the news feed. If you want to look at the news, check out the news, Beseda, but don't click, because all it wants from you is, anyone saw The Matrix, the film The Matrix? You remember the scene when everyone was in those incubators and they all had that pipe stuck in the back of their neck and it was sucking out their das? Well, that's exactly what's going on in the world, but they got the imagery wrong. It's exactly that. The Sitra Achra is out to suck your das away, but it's not like this. Yeah, that's wrong. It's like this. They're sucking your das out through the front of your face, not through the back of your neck. Yeah, so be mischazik. Don't let them suck away your das. Don't let those endless clicks on Arut Sheva take you to, oh, now you're seeing this old man who sat with the terrorists for 5 hours and made him dinner, and oh, then there's the one of the girl on the motorbike getting driven away, and oh, and now we have to see, and it's this labyrinth of tantalizing clicks to just suck your das. Just suck away more and more of you. Just be on guard for that, and just double down on everything. Just double down on Yiddishkeit, double down on your work. Don't just stop wasting time. Just be as muckpid on time as you possibly can, and that's really the avoider, I think, according to what my Rav was saying and thoughts that I had. And don't get down on yourself. The fact that you're not in that position where you can, pour tears and choke yourself up, because we're in a different matzah, and we're different people to what we were years ago, and we have to be real. We have to be real with who we are, and that's it. Anyone else has anything to be mishazek the oilam?
It just sounds like everyone's kind of saying the same thing. The news always is something that's frightening and mamish like sitra achel, like you say. What else can be done than tefillah and working on ourselves? There's really not much else that can be done. It's so not, it's so malam and ateva about how it all transpired and how it just doesn't make any sense. And we can just stand united and be strong, be there for one another.
Yeah, I mean, it says in the Or Chaim last parsha that Hashem is Moichel, and Mamash Beferish says it very clearly. I'm not going to go and get it, but I just trust me on this. He says Mamash Beferish that if Am Yisrael Ba'achdas, Hashem is Moichel even Avodah Zarah. Even Avodah Zarah. So if he can be Moichel Avodah Zarah, he can be Moichel long shaitels, he can be Moichel iPhones, he can be Moichel things we look at that we shouldn't be looking at. He can be Moichel all the different areas that we're shakurin the whole time. Yeah, not that's a heter for anybody, but Achdus is and Achdus begins in the shtiyah with the wife. If a man can't be ba'achdus with his wife, then that is the place of our avoidus achdus Yisrael. That's the ikka place, shalom bias, and that will be mishbah down into the kindlach, and then it's going to be very real out there in the world. But that's like what you said, Avi. That's really the kind of the what's the word? That's what Hashem is really looking for from his people. Like everyone knows when your kids fight with each other, it's like
hell on earth.
It's the worst thing in the world. And I've said many times, I would much rather my kids lie to me to protect one of their siblings than to tell me the truth. Much prefer. And I think you guys would all agree with that, yeah? In fact, I would get a big chizuk that my kid lied to me in my face to know that he was protecting his brother from getting in trouble. That would give me a chizuk. Okay, we should be zeicher to double down and just stop wasting time, stop getting distracted, earn money, give tzedakah, learn, daven, just be mishazek, clench your fist, and don't let the Sitra Achra pull you in all the ways he's trying to pull you. Okay, good news, Mizrat Hashem.